Sunday for some. We're gonna have to take a walk because I need something to drink and I don't know where my drink is. Maybe I made it through the drink. Okay, so we'll wait for people to get here. I gotta get me a soda. Don't mind me, we're going into the dungeon. Dun, 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 dun. Had to stop and go get some soda and water. I was like next to having none left. So anyways, I'm just was made aware of this, and I made a video on TikTok, and then I figured, you know what, I haven't been live today, so might as well come here and let you guys know what is going on. I don't have a whole lot of information right now. I just got an article from TMZ that basically said that Francie's grandson, this handsome boy behind me, lost his life tragically in a firearm accident. I don't know what the details specifically are, but it sounds like her son was the one that accidentally discharged it, and it got the grandson. So tragedy has met Dog's family yet again. This is really, I don't know, it's hard for me because like I said on my TikTok, you know, I feel like Dog and his family have been here to help so many people, and it seems like every time we turn around, his family is met with some type of tragedy, and this tragedy is a little harder to deal with because, I mean, Francie's grandson, his step-grandson, is a handsome guy, you know, and it seems like that this was obviously not intentional. And then you have the real possibility of this being in Florida. You know, we're required to make sure our firearms are safe and stuff like that. Are there going to be some criminal implications from this tragic accident? You know, there's that possibility. You never know. You know, it was an accident, but just because it's an accident doesn't necessarily mean you go without consequences from that accident. More consequences than, you know, obviously the pain of what was truly lost on Saturday. And my heart just really goes out to the Chapman family, all of them. Francie's family, you know, they're a blended family now, so they're all one family, you know. And we have to remember that. And I just pray that they stay united and go through this. And everybody just needs to pray for them. You know, I don't know what else to say. I don't have conversations with Dog. It's not like I know these people truly personally, you know. We know, you know, obviously the working on Sebastian Rogers' case, we've learned a little more about one another, but everybody knows, I mean, he was one of my first biggest interviews that I've got. It was during the Gabby Petito case. You know, I was out in front of Cassie Laundrie's house, and him and his wife Francie came there and tried to knock on the door and speak to Cassie directly, and she was either not home or didn't answer the door, and I was able to ask him some questions. So it was very, you know, I have a lot of ties to Dog the Bounty Hunter without really knowing him, you know, like best buds or anything, you know. I mean, to be honest with you, he's one of the people that I idolized when I was younger. I loved what him and Beth did. I just loved everything. The whole show, you know, just like many of you guys did. I never thought that I would, you know, get to know who he is or him know who I am, you know, but it did start out with kind of the Gabby Petito case, and then came Kathleen Moore's case, and, you know, I haven't heard from him or seen him in a while, and then came the Sebastian Rogers case, and quite frankly, they covered my six when they didn't have to. You know, they came in like a freaking wrecking ball after what had happened to me, you know, and I will forever be appreciative of Dog the Bounty Hunter, his family, and their team. and what they truly represent, and try to give back to this, not just his personal community, but the world. And that has to be commended and respected, whether you like the man or don't like the man. He's worked his ass off to be who he is, and to come from where he came from to be who he is. The story is amazing, and it's filled with a lot of tragedy, and this is now going to add to that pain that this family has. And this family has walked with a lot of pain. And it is amazing to me that the family has been able to hold together as well as they have. Now, there has been, I'm sure, fraying that has happened over the years, but there's been a lot of pain too, Beth passing away, I don't want to go into some of the other struggles of the family, but there has been just some struggles, and this just seems like right when he starts getting on solid footing, something else tragic just happens. So if you guys could just keep Dog and his family in your thoughts and prayers, that would be just amazing. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. I think everybody needs to go and show some love on his X channel. Just give him words of encouragement, words of love, words of strength. I'm sure everything right now that the family can get, it would be appreciative, would show, probably put a smile, or at least some kindness in their heart in such a tragic moment, to think that there's this huge world out there that really does care about them and their family and their sacrifices that they have made. And believe me, they have made sacrifices. You don't get to where Dog gets to without making a mess of sacrifices. And a lot of that, is put onto your family. If your family isn't on board, you're not going to get too far. So the whole entire family has had to be, eat, drink, and sleep this lifestyle to be where they are. And God bless them, because Dog has gifts. Dogs has gifts that many of us only dream of having. A lot of the tracking and stuff that I've learned have been from watching him for years, and how he tracked people out in dense woods and stuff like that. A lot of that, you don't think of it when you're out there and searching, but where does it come from? You had to learn it somewhere. Well, there's only one tracker that I've watched, and that's been Dog. There has been no other before or after. And, geez, what a shame. Just what a heartbreaking shame. So I thought I would come to you guys. I just found out about this, and how incredibly difficult. But on the same conversation, why are we so close with Dog? Because of his avocation for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, for his national presence, to bring answers to a case that needs answers, that I truly believe is solvable, that I truly believe a lot of mistakes has happened, but the longer they try to cover them up and try to act like they don't exist, the further from the goal we're getting. And as soon as they just acknowledge they made mistakes and start working to fix those mistakes, this case is never going to be solved. And then you kind of go over to Lily and Jack. I'm just going to throw this out there for each and every one of you guys. But the deception detective is now dropping some clips related to Janie's statements. And I'm very interested in those. And as a matter of fact, was in the middle of watching his assessment and his explanation when I was hearing the breaking news about Dog the Bounty Hunter and his family. So I don't, in this world where people are so hateful, I just think that right now we need to show up in huge numbers and show love and support for Dog, because Dog has came under rapid fire from taking the Sebastian Rogers case, and the thought of these animals causing more pain to this family is just the thought of it's sickening. So I figured if we can get a head start on the love, maybe we can just just wrap the whole family, you know. What a tragedy. 13-year-old boy. 13-year-old boy. And you have to know, Francie, they're very religious. This is, her baby, her grandson's her baby. And I can't imagine what type of mess Francie is in, They're a blended family, but this is Francie's son. This is Francie's grandson. And she's such a sweet soul, It's just, the whole darn thing's heartbreaking. The whole darn thing. So, like, even Justin, I'm a mod for Justin, and Justin is his, I think, step nephew. I can't remember if it's biological nephew or step nephew or something like that, but there's been some tension in there, and he had a horrible accident too. So just tragedy. No matter where you look at it, when it comes to the Chapman family, you see an entire family that's constantly trying to give back to the world. And this really does show you that bad things can happen to good people. And you're going to see this family keep their faith. And that's what is so amazing about this family, is their heartbreak is real, their faith is real, and they're going to pull together as a family and get through yet another tragedy. But it sure would be helpful to have a lot of love. So, I don't know what else to say about this particular topic other than it is what it is when it comes to the news, and we don't know what that is. All we know is this child was accidentally shot and succumbed to his injuries, and the father is the one that discharged that weapon. Again, the fear right now, I'm sure for Francie, is real, because again, this is in Florida, and unfortunately in Florida, when accidents happen, if it's negligent, they will charge him, okay? If it was truly an accident, he's cleaning it, the boy knew not to be up in this area and was running for a ball right at the moment, something like that clearly is an accident that had no negligence involved in it at all. And they're going to have to, you got to understand, this child has lost his life. You're talking about, they are going to do a homicide investigation to make sure that it is not something more nefarious. And it has nothing to do with who this man is or who his family is. That is the protocol here in Florida, okay? So her son is being interrogated, okay? It is, you're talking about a very uncomfortable situation for this family. This is not just a loss of a grandson. This is going to be their entire world being flipped upside down, courtesy of the state of Florida. And it's just what has to happen. I've seen it before. One of my friends that I had, you guys know my history, my path I went down when I was at the sober living environment. I met one of my friends that I had, a relationship with for a while. She slipped a few times, and so obviously I couldn't be around her, wish her the best. But years later, I found out that her boyfriend had committed self-harm inside the house where she was. It sounds like they were utilizing substances again, so they were, up and down, and the guy couldn't handle it anymore, unalived himself, and in the house where she was, and she had to go through it. It was here in Florida, around the same area that this is happening in, and she had to go through the entire homicide investigation, the interrogation, the everything. It is not a pretty, it's not fun, it's not pretty, and it's not one of these things where just because you say it's an accident, that's as far as it goes. you're talking about a major investigation here. And I just pray to God that, you know, her son, as hard as he is most likely on himself, and you know that something like this stays with a parent, you never forgive yourself. There's heightened, if he had any type of alcohol or substance abuse in the past, you got to be careful of that, because in situations like that, it's so easy to just feel that helplessness and in that cave. And so I'm just, I don't know, a lot of variables, but I know the major variable here right now is pain, is a lot of pain. So just keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He does such great work. I don't care what anybody out here wants to tease this man or call this man or say about this man. Everything that I have seen from Dog the Bounty Hunter, first and foremost, I don't think he's a god, right? I think he's a human being. And human beings by nature make mistakes throughout life. None of us are perfect. I don't expect a perfect being. But what he has been able to take from his life and do with his life is something short of amazing, that many people that were in his situation probably would never even come close to being able to accomplish. He is a faithful man, and this goes to show you again, and we want to take the silver lining, because you're going to watch this family be very strong. And how are they going to be able to be very strong is through their faith and walking in their faith. And they're going to have to do a lot of it. Today is Sunday. Today is a great day to, one, be thankful for everything you have, because in a blink of an eye it can be gone. And today's a great day for prayer. I just hope that if you guys are around your family, if you guys are sitting it out for dinner, if you are saying your prayers, you're giving Dog and his family a prayer as well, because it sounds like they could really use it. All right, guys, that's all I have for Dog and his family. I don't want to harp on this. I can't imagine how hard this is for them. But I do want to now kind of navigate some of your attention to the Deception Detective. The Deception Detective just dropped his opinion and analysis of Janie McKenzie, that is Daniel Martel's mother. He has a lot to say. He has a lot to say. I like his breaking down. This is the second, third, I think the second maybe video he's made of Janie. I'm unsure. Right now, I'm in the process of collecting all the nuggets of interview pieces that are out there that Janie has discussed, because I'm already starting to see some subtle changes in her story. And these are important when somebody has some, because you can tell certain things that she says exactly the same religiously over and over again from story to story. And those are the parts that I believe are truthful. They don't change. But there's some nuances, like the way that Malaya may ask a certain question or some other type of situation. She's starting to change. But, you know, I guess I shouldn't say that, because there's something with that spot where the boot print was. And the Deception Detective, I didn't think of it like that. Like, I knew that there's something with that spot. But I'm not thinking, I felt like it was a plant, you know, like the boot print was a plant. But the whole raking, but the deception, I don't want to kill it. I'm not going to do the spoiler alert. This Deception Detective nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. I couldn't figure out what I was trying to say about this. So I just said how I could describe it, but he absolutely nailed it on the hoax aspect of this, and I think you guys should watch it if you have not watched it. Obviously, Travis Decker, we still haven't heard any more information on Travis Decker. Travis Decker is accused of murdering his 3 beautiful children, his 3 beautiful girls. I truly believe he's somewhere by that Rock Island campground where the girls were found. If people are searching and people are out there during the summer, hiking and stuff, please be cognizant of your surroundings. Not that he's a danger, but I really believe he's out there deceased somewhere. I don't want young children's eyes to see it, and I believe he would be out there in the woods. So if you're out there and you're a true crime junkie and it's just you and a few friends, go out there and search. I really feel strongly that he's there. I never believed he was the Idaho person, and we also got confirmation he was not the Idaho person. He was mistaken identity. There were several reasons why, but the number one reason was the shoes. And here's why. Even if he changed his appearance, he's not going to change proper hiking shoes for some stinking whatever shoes, okay? What were they? Converse or something like that. And the other thing was, if he was going to go as far as to change his clothes and his shoes, i.e. his appearance, why would he keep the same long hair and the same beard that were very identifiable markers for him? So those were the things that were going on in my head when I was hearing this. I didn't believe it. I made comments everywhere explaining that specific thing and why I didn't believe it. It wasn't him. I really believe he's at Rock Island. I believe he's within 5 miles of those children. I said 2 miles, but I'm realizing that I might be just, I don't know how far he would have been able to go without, on adrenaline and kind of lucid. We've learned some other things about Travis Decker leading up to this. And one of it was, I noticed that he was pulled over. If you guys have not seen that video, he was pulled over. He did hit somebody. This was the second accident. He had no insurance on his vehicle. 0 insurance on his vehicle. He was going to be losing his license. And this was probably going to be used for him in court to take his children away, so he couldn't even come pick them up because he has no valid insurance on his vehicle. I think he was desperate. He was at the end of his rope. And I think that last accident just pushed him over the edge because he was now, his whole world, his children, he was going to lose them. He was never going to be able to see them until he rectified the situation. And now having 2 accidents, and God knows what they were going to sue him for or what they were going to sue their insurance for. The insurance wouldn't have released him until he paid all that money back. So now he's in a situation where he probably felt, and I'm going to say felt because we all know we've lived through our worst days so far. We've all been in pickles and we've all had to dig ourselves out of them. But he felt at the time, I think, that the hole had gotten too big. And he was just drowning. And he just didn't, there was no way up. Still, all of the behaviors I'm describing is still a self-harming type of motivation. And so I just don't believe he's out there running around in the mountains. I think he's deceased. I've always thought he was deceased. Law enforcement is starting to pander to that theory. And then we had the Idaho sighting. So I see we have a lot of people that just came in here. I just want to give you guys an update if you're here for Dog the Bounty Hunter. Francie's son accidentally discharged a firearm and accidentally shot his 13-year-old son. And his 13-year-old son lost his life. And this is just the latest tragedy to hit the Chapman family. We are just calling for everybody to please say prayers and kind words for the Chapman family. I know we're going to have some despicable people out there that just will not be able to help themselves from being despicable in such a in the present pain that this family's in. So I figured if we got a head start on spreading the love on his X page, it'll drown out all of that hate. And that's really what I'd like us to do, is just let Dog and his family know that we stand strong with them, that we're, standing lockstep and barrel with them, and we're going to continue to support them and their families through their trials and tribulations and their tragedies. I've never known a family to give so much to the community and the world abroad and literally ask for nothing in return, and then constantly be hit with tragedy after tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. It's just very heartbreaking. And I just want to uplift this family. I know that they have they're strong in their faith, and they will somehow, you know, be strong, as hard as it's going to be for them. But it still doesn't hurt for us to show some love, compassion, and support for this family. So I just wanted to get us all a boost over there to show our love, tell them that, tell them whatever you'd like to share with them. I just would like kindness to be spread, because after what we witnessed during the loss of all of those children in Texas, I just don't want something like that, because that was just horrible. It was just horrible. There's no humanity in some of the comments I read and some of the behaviors that were displayed by people that should know better. What happened? Well, Tracy, Francie's son accidentally shot his son, her grandson, and the 13-year-old boy did not make it, so he lost his life on Saturday. And right now the family just needs prayers, lots and lots of prayers, strength, moral support. If you guys know these people personally, and don't forget meals. If people are watching and know Francie's son and grandson in Naples, there's all types of programs that send meals straight to their house, that send them coffee and stuff like that. Anything that you guys can do to lighten that load for this family in Naples, that would be greatly appreciated. For Dog and Francie, I can't imagine how Francie's dealing right now. She looks like an amazing grandma. I cannot imagine she's taking this well at all, and that's what is breaking my heart, the most. Dog's he's a guy, and although he does feel pain, much like everybody else, it's the pain that a grandmother or a mother feels. It just, in my opinion, doesn't compare. And my heart right now is with Francie in all of this, and this child's mother. Not that the father or Dog doesn't, it's just, there's just, moms. Moms carry the baby, moms, grandmas carry the moms that carry the babies, So I just feel like there's this extra relationship that you have with your mother. Most of us do, obviously a lot of the stories we cover on our show are really crappy parents, but these, for the most of us, like all of us, the reason why we're here is, we may have had crappy parents. We may have had the best parents in the entire world. We may have something somewhere in the middle of the road. But what we do have for our family is a lot of love. And what we do have for these victims is a lot of love and a lot of compassion. And that's what Dog and his family have done and have given back. I don't know. I don't know. He lost his daughter. I think he lost another child. I know that now he's got a step-grandson that's lost. He lost Beth. Just a lot, just a lot over the last couple decades. It's very painful. Hey, Smiley, everybody that came. I'm not going to stay on here too long. I really do appreciate all that came in here. But it is a tragic news. But again, I do want to focus everybody on the Lily and Jack case and the newest updates from the Deception Detective. If you haven't gone over there and watch it, go over and watch it. We are going to be talking about it later this evening, probably around 10 o'clock tonight. I'll probably pop up a live here, and we're going to be going over Janie's statements, because I've got a lot of, now after reviewing the Deception Detective, like my brain was moving, but I didn't let it move too much because I really wanted to listen to some professionals that were out there and get their take on Janie before I started moving down a specific path of talk. And now that I've kind of got reassured that, you know, some of the things that I was analyzing and I feel that this went one way, it seems like it's being corroborated a little bit. So I'd like to explore some of my thoughts on that. So if you guys would like, please come back here. We'll probably be kicking it off at 10. And I've got a huge surprise for you. Friday night, 8 p.m., we're going to have a special. I'm going to be designing a very questionable thumbnail, which will be replaced moments before we go live on Friday at 8 p.m. We are going to have 2 special guests on our show, and I hope you guys can stop by. The topic of conversation is going to be Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers and talking about different perspectives in the case. So I hope you guys do not miss that show Friday, this coming Friday at 8 p.m. And again, I will get that thumbnail up so you guys can make sure you get notified and we have a good and a productive show. So I'm excited to see you guys all there. Again, please go keep Dog and his wife and her family in your thoughts and prayers and let them know. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. And we'll chat soon. I hope to see you guys at the next show. Talk to you soon.